We did a gig, didn't we?
Well, yeah, at a place in North London called Ajani's, ran by a great chap called Patrick. I can't remember his second name, unfortunately. But yeah, I remember playing there a few times. But then it wasn't until much later that we played just together as a duo, I think.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that original one happened either. But yeah, then we met in Hilly Fields in where is that, in Ladywell, walking in the park.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we recognised each other, you with your family, and then we talked about playing then.
Yeah.
And so it was soon after that we started playing and came down to your place and played and talked.
Talked a lot and played a little bit.
That's what rehearsals are like.
Yeah.
There's lots of things for me. I mean, the duo situation is, I've done a lot of duos. I love duo. It's like, the less people, the less complicated. It's less things to deal with, you know. Although I've done a big band as well. I've got a big band and trio, quintet, all this kind of stuff. I think with us, I mean, you can obviously say what you think, Will, but there's certain common reference points, I think, which helps. And when we got together, we would always play standard songs and then freely improvised. Mm-hmm. That was kind of, I don't know whether we decided that or set that, or maybe we did, didn't we?
I don't know how it happened. We just play a standard and then just launch into something free, and then go back to a standard, and you know, which is quite interesting because the way you play free informs the standard, and that you sort of learn ways of playing standards from playing free, and also the other way around, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So bring some of the harmony, perhaps, if it's more tonal, from the standard into the free playing. But I think what you're saying, obviously I've known of Martin's music for a long time and admired it, and for me it's sort of, not to slag off the jazz scene, but Martin represents sort of like a sort of genre of the music that I've always really liked, and he's always, in my perception, been sort of pursuing something that inspires me and follows a sort of long line of musicians and is sort of connected with some musicians in America. It's very hard to say what that actually is. I was trying to think about this the other day because I thought I might get asked that, but I think it's something to do with a sort of feel, a rhythmic feel, but also melody being sort of very important. So whenever I play with Martin, I feel like melody is sort of almost on top of everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the case with me, is that, and I think that's to do with a lot of things in my life. My background when I was a child, I would have my grandmother, and I didn't play an instrument till I was 16, saxophone, but my grandmother would play standard songs of the time, and that's just melody. It's just melody the whole time. And as a child, I probably didn't like it because I loved rock music, which has melody as well, of course, at that time. And I think that's a big part of it. But there are other people in music, like Ornette Coleman is called free jazz. I don't hear that as free at all. He's incredibly melodic. Mm-hmm. And Keith Jarrett, we both love Keith Jarrett, which is, melody is paramount with him in improvising and composing. And there is a bit of a reaction to this, I think, now, which is a bigger subject. I don't hear very melody-driven bands now. There's a lot of complexity and rhythmic manipulation, but not so much melody-driven. And it's so nice that Will said that about me, because he sussed it, because I am. It's like, I didn't want to play a tune, really. I mean, I can be abstract as well, you know. Like, this what we've done here is we haven't done what we did when we rehearsed together. We haven't played any standards. In this recording we've just done totally improvised, under 2 hours. Perfect session. Yeah. Beautiful, on a really amazing piano at Porcupine Studios. So that's the direction we've gone in here. I felt that was more coming from you when we talked about it. You didn't want to play any standards. Which I think is good.
Yeah, I mean, although another time I'd love to.
Yeah, we do that as well next time.
Yeah. Because I do, yeah, because there's a nice thing about playing standards together as well. As well as the melodies, the rhythmic thing is really interesting as well, because I think, just as you're saying about melody being perhaps not as important in modern jazz, arguably, rhythm has become, obviously there are wonderful rhythmic players around today, but where beat is, it can be very, very certain and sort of rigid, you might say, and having a sort of bigger beat that's why I call it a bigger beat. It sort of sounds like a strange idea, but sort of fits in to me with how I perceive a lot of Martin's bands and a lot of players who he admires and I admire, like Paul Motion and Charlie Heydon and Keith Jarrett, where it's somehow there's a question about how they come together rhythmically that's answered as they play, rather than just a sort of complete, it's going to be like this, a grid, that it's, which for me makes the rhythm more interesting and actually groovier. It makes it better because there is that freedom in the pulse or groove.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I think about that a lot as well. And yeah, we like those players because there's a certain amount of flexibility going on.
Yeah.
And now the music is more metronomic, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine about practicing with a metronome. It helps to develop my time, but I do think that is a direction. I mean, in a way, it had to happen. I think, like harmony and melody were the emphasis earlier on in the history of jazz, but the rhythmic development since probably the 80s has become more paramount. It sort of makes sense. Mm-hmm. So maybe there will be a rebalancing. I think there is beginning to happen with certain musicians. But for us, it's we're old-fashioned players, really.
Yeah. I'm not sure you'd agree if you heard the album, but
that's right, yeah.
But somehow we are, yeah.
I think it was just in the moment for me. I mean, I have an idea. Oh, I'm playing with Will today. He plays like this, and I play like this with him. There's that, but then it's always a constant surprise. So we haven't played in this room together before on this piano, and there are probably things that we've done before that are similar to what we've done today, together, but not quite the same. There's no preparation for me at all, really, apart from that thought. Nice to see Will.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. Really, it's for me. This kind of playing, it's about trying not to try too hard, almost, and to sort of just be there with whatever it is, and just exist, and not think, oh, it sounded like Martin did this. Perhaps I should do that. It's almost like to let it happen. I find that if I let my hands, or whatever it is, playing, they tend to play something better than I can think of anyway. So it's about trying to not try, to be in that state where you're not thinking too much, you're just sort of feeling something, I think.
Yeah, that's such an important point. There's a lot of musicians talk about that. I mean, Keith Jarrett talks about Art Blakey. He says, I used to see Art Blakey play at Ronnie Scott's, and he would say, always announce, this is coming from the creator through me to you. And it's the same thing. When we're in our mind, it's problematic for me, creative music. We need to be in our mind for crossing the road or something, or driving a car. But playing improvised creative music, it's a problem when you're thinking too much. And that did happen sometimes with me, but I was trying to get out of that. And sometimes I would stop playing for that reason, actually. But it's exactly, I feel the same way as Will. Something will happen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
We've got enough skill on our instruments for something to happen.
Mm-hmm. And that's about trust as well, which you obviously get from playing a little bit together. It's the amazing thing about improvised music for me is that it surprises you. So as you're playing, you're very much a sort of audience to it, and that surprise is the sort of pureness of music. And then you put loads of thoughts on top of it, like, oh, that was a slightly diminished-y type thing, or that was this type thing. And the moment you've done that, you could argue something about the beauty of it as sort of gone. But then you've got to do that because you're a musician and you've got to sort of find some way to organise all these ideas. But the surprise, I think, is where the good bits or the beautiful bits come.
Yeah, I mean, that was all a surprise for me.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Where we were going to end.
Yeah.
It was always a surprise. Oh, we end now? Okay.
Yeah.
Feels right. Whatever.
Yeah.
Somehow we ended.
Yeah.
It's great. Looking forward to listening back to it.
Yeah.
Probably be totally different from what I thought as well. There's that
Yeah.
aspect of it. Yeah.